someone doesn't respect you, it's because you've allowed them to believe they can. Respect isn't given. It's taken, it's enforced, and it's earned through presence, power, and how fast you're willing to cut people off when they cross the line. Respect isn't some magical reward that appears out of thin air. It's not handed out because you exist. It's earned through presence, power, and how you carry yourself every second of the day. If people don't respect you, it's because on some level, you've allowed that disrespect. You've accepted it, tolerated it, maybe even excused it because you didn't want to look confrontational, or you thought keeping the peace was more important than standing your ground. But here's the harsh truth. The world only mirrors the energy you project. If you move like a man who doesn't demand respect, you won't get it. Most people think respect starts with other people. They think, why don't they treat me better? Or why can't they just value me? That's the victim mindset. That's what the average man thinks. But reality doesn't care about your feelings. The hard truth is, people treat you based on what you tolerate. If you're silent when disrespected, if you allow slights to slide, if you laugh off something that cuts deep, you're telling the world, this is okay. And once someone knows they can get away with it once, they'll do it again. That's human nature. It's not personal. It's power dynamics. The world doesn't owe you respect. You take it through how you walk, how you talk, how you stand in your own frame without flinching. If someone senses weakness in you, if they feel like you're unsure of your own worth, they won't see you as someone to respect. They'll see you as someone to control, manipulate, or ignore. And when you act like you're beneath someone, when you seek their approval, when you overplease, all you're doing is reinforcing your own inferiority. You're not being humble, you're being weak. There's a difference. You don't ask for respect, you don't beg for it, you command it. That doesn't mean being loud, rude, or trying to dominate everyone you meet. It means being solid. It means knowing who you are, what you stand for, and never compromising your standards for anyone. People might not always like you when you move like that, but they will respect you because deep down, everyone admires the man who doesn't fold, the man who holds his line, the man who doesn't chase anyone's validation. That's what people respond to, not desperation, not compliance, but certainty and strength. Every single time you let someone talk down to you without checking it, you chip away at your own self-respect. Every time you avoid a confrontation just to keep things smooth, you send yourself a message that you're not worth standing up for. And over time, you start to believe it. That's why people walk over you, not because they're evil, but because you made it easy. You became a doormat and called it patience. You became invisible and called it humility. And now you wonder why no one sees you. The solution isn't to go around demanding people respect you. That's insecure. The real move is to become someone that people can't help but respect. Someone with standards. Someone who doesn't entertain foolishness. Someone who walks away without a second thought when a line gets crossed. Because here's the truth. People don't remember your words. They remember your energy. They remember how you handle disrespect. And when you carry yourself like you don't need anyone's approval, like you're not afraid to lose people, that's when respect starts chasing you. Not the fake kind that's based on popularity or money, the real kind that's built on presence, strength, and self-mastery. When someone shows you they don't respect you, you don't negotiate. You don't ask why, and you don't try to fix it. You eliminate. That's the difference between someone who's operating with high value and someone who's still living under the illusion that everyone deserves a second chance. Weak people will always test your boundaries. They'll see how much they can get away with, how far they can push before you push back. If you allow it once, they think it's open season. You want to know why do people treat you like an option? Because you keep letting them stay after they've shown you they don't value you. There is no room in your life for anyone who disrespects you. Not one person, not for 1 second. This isn't about being ruthless. This is about being precise. Because your time, your energy, your presence, it's a currency. And every time you spend it on someone who doesn't respect you, you're telling yourself you're not worth more. That energy compounds. The more disrespect you absorb, the more diluted your power becomes. Suddenly your self-worth drops. You start questioning yourself. You overthink. And now you've shifted from operating in dominance to operating in damage control. You've handed them your control without them even asking for it. This is why high-level individuals don't argue with people who show disrespect. They don't plead for understanding, they don't beg for validation, they move on instantly, without hesitation. Because once someone disrespects you, they've made a decision. Whether it's subtle or direct, they've told you everything you need to know. You don't need a second offense to confirm it. You don't need a pattern, and time is enough. That's how high standards work. You set the tone once, and people know not to test you again. Cutting people off isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you've graduated from needing permission to walk away. Most people stay stuck in toxic circles, in draining relationships, in disrespectful environments because they're afraid of being alone. But being alone in peace is 1,000 times better than being surrounded by chaos that erodes your self-respect. You don't keep people around to avoid silence, you stay silent to keep your power. When you eliminate disrespect early, you create a new standard. You train your world. You tell people, directly or indirectly, that there is no tolerance for anything less than respect. That doesn't mean you become cold or aggressive. It means you become unavailable to anything beneath your value. You stop responding. You stop explaining. You simply disappear from their access. That's how real strength moves, quietly, confidently, without needing to make a scene. And the moment you start operating like that, people will start treating you differently, not because they changed, but because you did. You've got to understand that you are the gatekeeper of your life. You decide who gets in, you decide who stays. And if someone disrespects you, they've just disqualified themselves. There's no debate, no second shot. You either protect your energy like your life depends on it, or you let people chip away at it until there's nothing left. You can't be both high value and overly forgiving to the wrong people. Pick one. The faster you cut off disrespect, the faster your life gets cleaner, quieter, more focused. The right people will respect your standards. The wrong ones will expose themselves. Your job isn't to fix them. Your job is to remove them. Not with anger, with clarity, with speed, with no apology. Because that's what self-respect looks like in action. When someone disrespects you, the natural instinct is to react, to raise your voice, to get in their face, to show them they mess with the wrong person. But let me tell you something very few understand. The moment you react emotionally, you lose. You've handed them the remote control to your emotions, your power, and your presence. They now control how you feel, how you think, and how you respond. And that's exactly what weak people want. They want to rattle you, push your buttons, and drag you down to their level because they know they can't rise to yours. You don't handle disrespect with noise. You handle it with silence, with energy, with presence. When you stay calm while someone is trying to provoke you, you communicate one thing: you are untouchable. And that is a level of power most people never reach because they're too busy trying to defend their ego. But you're not like most people. You're built different. You understand that true power isn't loud. It's composed. It's the ability to remain completely still while the world tries to shake you. Anyone can lash out. Anyone can yell, curse, throw fists, or throw insults. That's easy. That's what undisciplined men do. They explode because they have no internal control. But when you respond to disrespect with calm strength, people don't know what to do with that. You become unpredictable. And in a world that's obsessed with triggering reactions, being unshakable makes you a ghost they can't touch. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's redirection. You don't bottle up your emotions, you channel them into your work, into your training, into your goals. You convert disrespect into fuel. When someone tries to get under your skin, that's an opportunity for you to rise above them. You use it as proof that your mission matters more than some irrelevant noise. You don't stop to deal with ants when you're building empires. Understand that people who disrespect you usually do it out of their own insecurity. They're trying to pull you down to make themselves feel better. That's not power, it's weakness disguised as attitude. And when you react to it, you validate it, you give them exactly what they want: your attention, your energy, your mind. But when you stay silent, when you look them dead in the eye without flinching, without raising your voice, and walk away without a word, that's when they feel your presence. That's when they realize they were never on your level. This is how legends move: with control, with composure, with zero need to prove anything. You don't argue with people who are beneath your mission. You don't explain yourself to those who have already made the mistake of disrespecting you. You move in silence, you level up in private, and you let your results slap louder than your words ever could. The goal isn't to show them how mad you are. The goal is to show them that their disrespect has no effect on your life, that their words can't break through the fortress you built inside your mind, that you are above all of it. And once you master that level of self-control, you become dangerous. Not because you're aggressive, but because you're untouchable. You become someone they think twice before disrespecting again. So next time someone tries to cross a line, don't react. Respond with silence, with strength, with stillness. Watch how fast they lose power when they realize they can't control your energy. Watch how the dynamic shifts when you stay in your frame while they crumble in theirs. That's how real dominance is expressed, through emotional control that speaks louder than any outburst ever could. You want to know one of the most effective ways to deal with people who don't respect you? Outgrow them so brutally that they can't even reach the level to insult you again. You stop fighting for respect, you stop chasing their validation, and you start building yourself into a force so big, so disciplined, so undeniable that their opinions become completely irrelevant. You don't sit around waiting for them to value you. You become the kind of person whose value is self-evident, so high, so powerful, that they're either forced to respect you or disappear from your world completely. You don't confront them, you level up so far that they can't find your name in the same category. When people disrespect you, it's often because they see you as someone on their level or below it. That means they feel comfortable talking down to you, playing games, crossing boundaries. But when you start moving like someone who's too focused, too driven, too disciplined to even respond, everything changes. They either start chasing your approval or they start hating from the sidelines. But either way, they lose access to your time, your energy, your presence. That's what happens when you rise above their level. They no longer qualify to be in the same room, let alone in your head. You don't demand their respect with words, you demand it with growth. When you get in shape, when you start stacking wins, when you start walking with the confidence of someone who knows where they're going, people shift. The same ones who used to mock you, doubt you, or disrespect you start watching from a distance. And it's not because they changed, it's because you changed. You evolved. And when you evolve, you stop attracting the people who once looked down on you. They don't resonate with your frequency anymore. You've outgrown them. The best revenge is not arguing, it's transformation. It's walking into the room and commanding attention without saying a word. It's succeeding so loudly that it drowns out every ounce of disrespect you once tolerated. Every time you level up, mentally, physically, financially, you build a bigger gap between you and the people who once thought they could treat you like an option. That gap becomes so wide they have no choice but to fall back and watch you from below. That's how power is reclaimed. Think of it like this. If someone spits at your shoes while you're climbing a mountain, are you going to climb back down and argue with them? Or are you going to keep climbing knowing that soon they won't even be able to see you? Weak men argue with clowns. Strong men stay focused on the summit. Your life's mission is bigger than their ego. The higher you go, the less noise you hear, and eventually their words sound like whispers in the wind, meaningless and forgotten. You need to treat your goals like they're sacred, because they are, and anyone who doesn't respect you is trying to distract you from them. They want to pull you into drama, conflict, nonsense. They want to make it about emotion instead of results. But you're not giving them that satisfaction. You're too busy building, too focused on becoming unrecognizable from the version of you they used to know. And when they realize they can't reach you anymore, that their words don't land, that their games don't work, that's when the dynamic shifts. That's when the power returns to your hands. You don't chase respect. You earn it through undeniable progress. You build a life so solid that their disrespect can't touch you. You build yourself so far ahead that by the time they try to step back into your life, they need binoculars just to see your shadow. That's how you handle people who don't respect you, not by engaging, but by evolving past them so completely, they never get the chance to disrespect you again. Now, the deadliest weapons you can ever master is silence. Not just staying quiet for the sake of it, but holding your words with intention, with dominance, and with control. When people don't respect you, they expect you to fight for their approval. They expect you to explain yourself, to argue, to chase, to beg. And that's exactly where they gain power. The more you speak, the more they read you. The more you react, the more they control the pace. But when you choose silence, not weakness, not passivity, but strategic silence, you break the entire game. You create discomfort in them. You show them they don't even deserve a single syllable from your mouth. Silence is uncomfortable for insecure people because it forces them to sit with themselves. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know if they got under your skin. They can't read your next move, and that makes them weak. That makes them nervous. And in that uncertainty, you dominate the frame. Because while they're second-guessing your silence, you're observing. calculating, and staying 2 steps ahead. That's the move of someone who doesn't need noise to assert power. It's the move of someone who knows they already hold the upper hand just by being unmoved. Most people think the louder you are, the stronger you are. But in reality, the one who speaks least often holds the most control, because every word they do speak holds weight. When you speak too much, you dilute your authority. You become predictable, easy to manipulate, easy to control. But when you speak rarely and only when it's necessary, every time you open your mouth, people listen. They lean in. They respect the silence that came before the sound. That's how dominance works. It's not about volume, it's about value. When someone disrespects you, they want to disrupt your peace. They want to prove they can affect you. But if your response is silence and you continue your path unfazed, you crush them in a way they never saw coming. You deny them access, you deny them a reaction. And nothing destroys weak people more than being ignored by someone they tried to provoke. Silence becomes a mirror reflecting their own weakness, their own insecurity, and their own irrelevance back at them. That's why silence isn't just a defense, it's an attack, a psychological one. Holding your silence also puts the focus back on action. Instead of wasting time with words, you're putting in work. You're building, you're grinding, you're moving with precision while everyone else is running their mouths. And the longer you stay silent, the more noise your success starts to make. The ones who disrespected you eventually realized they played themselves. Because while they were talking, you were transforming. And now their words don't even reach the version of you that exists today. That's the real revenge. No confrontation, no argument, just massive evolution in complete silence. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to correct their misunderstanding of you. Let them be wrong. Let them assume. Let them create whatever stories they need to justify their disrespect. Your silence says it all. It says, I'm not here to be understood by you. I'm here to build a life so powerful that your disrespect becomes irrelevant. That's the energy that makes people shift. That's the presence that makes people think twice before crossing you again. And this doesn't just apply to enemies. It applies to friends, to family, to anyone who crosses the line. When you stay silent, when you move in silence, you gain clarity. You stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided not to see you. You stop wasting energy on those who don't deserve it. And in that silence, you become sharper, stronger, more dangerous, because you no longer operate from emotion. You operate from precision. You choose when to speak. You choose who gets your words. And that level of control makes you untouchable. The real reason people continue to disrespect you is because you let them. It's not about what they said once, it's about what you tolerated after they said it. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, by what you reinforce, and by what you ignore. Every time you excuse disrespect, every time you brush it off to keep the peace, every time you stay quiet just to avoid conflict, you're giving permission. You're sending the message that their behavior has no consequence, and worse, that you don't value yourself enough to draw the line. That ends now. If someone doesn't respect you, it's not your job to fix them, it's your job to remove yourself. People think loyalty means sticking around even when they're disrespected. That's not loyalty, that's self-betrayal. You weren't put on this planet to shrink yourself for anyone. You weren't born to tolerate disrespect in the name of being the bigger person. There's a difference between being composed and being a doormat. You can be calm and still be dangerous. You can be kind and still draw hard boundaries. But once that line is crossed, your response must be clear. You don't owe anyone repeated explanations. You don't owe second chances to people who keep violating your standards. You owe yourself peace, and that peace is non-negotiable. Disrespect isn't always loud. Sometimes it comes as subtle digs, backhanded compliments, dismissive tones, or constantly being overlooked. If you keep letting that slide, you become part of the problem. Because now they know they can cross your boundaries without pushback. But when you start making it known through your actions, not just your words, that certain behavior won't be tolerated, everything shifts. You don't have to argue. You don't have to explode. You just have to stop giving people access to a version of you they haven't earned. You want respect? Start by respecting yourself enough to walk away from anything and anyone that chips away at your worth. That means leaving conversations that go nowhere. That means cutting ties with people who bring nothing but negativity. That means deleting numbers, unfollowing accounts, quitting circles that gossip about you, mock your goals, or take you for granted. People will call you cold. Let them. They called you weak when you stayed. Now they call you cold when you walk away. Either way, they'll talk. So let them talk. while you build your empire. And don't let guilt keep you chained to people who don't value you. Guilt is a tool manipulators use to keep you small. They'll call you selfish for enforcing standards. They'll say you've changed. Good. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to evolve. You're supposed to level up so much that the old you doesn't even recognize your new mindset. Respect starts with your decisions. Your decision to no longer accept crumbs when you know you were built for the full course. Walking away isn't weakness. It's the purest form of power. It's looking someone dead in the eye and saying, I don't need this. I don't need you. I don't need your validation. It's leaving the room and never looking back, because the more you tolerate, the more you lose. And you weren't built to lose, you were built to rise. So stop explaining yourself to people who disrespect you. Cut them off, silence them with absence, replace their noise with discipline. Let them feel what it's like to lose access to someone who is real, loyal, and solid. That's the kind of pain that wakes people up. You don't need to destroy them, you just need to disappear from their reach. No warnings, no long speeches, just action. Because the man who knows his worth doesn't wait for people to figure it out. He walks like it, talks like it, and lives like it, regardless of who stays or goes. That's how you handle disrespect. With clarity, with finality, with self-respect so strong, it scares the hell out of anyone who ever thought they could play with you. You don't get respect by demanding it with words. You command it by how you move. You cut off the noise, cut off the weakness, and enforce your value through silence, distance, discipline, and results. The second you stop tolerating disrespect, the world starts treating you differently. Not because it changed, but because you did. When you walk with self-respect, you attract power and repel weakness. You don't waste your breath proving your worth to people too blind to see it. You don't lower your standards to fit anyone's comfort zone. You rise, you outgrow, you detach, and you dominate. That's how you deal with disrespect. Not with noise, but with mastery. Stay cold, stay focused, stay untouchable.